All right, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Let me know in the chat room if you can hear me now. Oh, okay, great. Oh, great. I thought that was going to be a lot harder. All right. Okay, we got the stream working finally. I hope the audio quality is okay because I'm using a new encoder software that I've never used before and I have no idea how it works. So I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. Welcome to the belated Dragon Prince Season 3 review live stream. I was going to do this as a normal review, but real life kind of got in the way. There's a post in the community tab about that that'll explain that in more detail. But the short version is the Kappa thing happened, and I wasn't sure how that all works. If this could be if like the normal review style could be considered intended for kids, and I started second guessing myself, and I was feeling a lot of anxiety about that. So also some other things happened that kind of delayed the video for a while. So finally, I figured, well, if I'm going to do this, the best way to do it is a live stream. That way, I'm not using any media from the show at all, and plus, like a normal review is probably too late to do that anyway. So right now, I'm just playing to the people who like the last people who kind of give a crap about my opinions on this thing. This thing has been out for like 2 weeks now. So anyway, thank you all for showing up. Again, I had a kind of a shit show of a test getting the new live stream to work. But we did have some super chats in there. Thank you guys so much for that. And I will now give you my quick thoughts of the Dragon Prince Season 3, if I can call up my notes here. And I'm going to have to do this quicker than I had planned because, God help me, there's a new episode of Batwoman tonight, and I need to watch it because I'm going to have to review that. Oi. I can just call up my notes. There we go. I'll try to get to as many. I'm gonna give my review, and I'll try to get to as many questions as I can, and then I'll have to run to the laundry room to get my clothes and come back and watch. Ugh, Batwoman. All right. All right. Okay. The Dragon Prince Season 3. Finally got found my notes. I've got like 50 different tabs open on here. Okay. Anyway, short version. It's really good. This season was the remedy, I think, for seasons 1 and 2. Not that they were bad, those 2 seasons, but it felt like the whole series so far had been a lot of build-up for a payoff we were still waiting for. You know, season 1, whole lot of build-up, and then when we finally get to the thing they were building up to, suddenly it was over. Season 2, whole lot of build-up. When we finally get to the thing they were building up to, suddenly it was over. So it was a little frustrating in that regard, but in Season 3, we finally get the big payoff. And it's very satisfying when it happens. So satisfying, in fact, that it seemed as if the writers were working overtime to wrap up almost every major story arc. And what we wind up with is a payoff that could almost work as a series finale if it wasn't for that cliffhanger at the end. That's how much they were sticking to their guns on, oh, we got to wrap up this, and we got to wrap up this, and we got to resolve that over there. And so there's a lot of resolution here. And after 2 seasons plus of build-up, of nothing but build-up, that was nice. So this is the season where we finally get all the things that fans of the show had been wanting to see. Callum finally learning more spells. That happens. Soren and Claudia choosing which side they want to be on. That happens. Getting Zim to the Dragon Queen. Well, that would be a spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen the show yet, which is probably none of you, but that is what the story has been building up to, so you can fill in the blanks. Now, we get one of the biggest battle sequences the show has ever done. The animation is the best it's been. It's definitely improved a lot since the first season. A lot of the character arcs come to a head, and what I liked most is, now that we've seen this, seasons 1 and 2 are going to hold up a lot better to rewatch. And I wish we hadn't had to wait until season 3 to be able to say that, but that's the kind of way the show was structured. Because what we have with the Dragon Prince is a relatively short story told in long form. At least with what we've seen so far. The creators revealed at a convention that the plan is for 7 seasons with 3 major chapters, like 3 acts. So 1, 2, and 3 is Act 1. 4 and 5 is Act 2. 6 and 7 is Act 3. So what we had with seasons 1, 2, and 3 was all one big chapter, but they broke it up into 3 separate chunks. So that's why it felt like a whole lot of buildup, like a whole season of build-up, and then another whole season of build-up, and then the conclusion, because it was all written as one story. Which definitely explains the pacing issues. It explains why they took so long to get to the big payoff for a lot of things. They probably didn't do themselves a lot of favors by releasing it in 9-episode chunks, but it's going to play a lot better in binge-watch format now. The problem is pacing is still an issue. And because the show is structured the way it is, being very story-driven, but with the first part of the story split into 3 smaller chunks, sometimes the characters feel like chess pieces being moved around the board by writers instead of just moving themselves. So that's when you run into situations like sometimes it'll take 2 characters an entire season to get from point A to point B, while other characters can make that journey in 1 episode with no explanation of how they got there so fast, or how they even knew to go there in the first place. Or they'll meet a new character, and they're trying to get this person to do something, and you know the second you meet them that they're not going to do this thing until the very end of the season, because that's just how the show tends to work. Or certain other characters can't get to where they're going until a certain number of episodes pass, because of the way everything is paced out. So they'll run into roadblocks that are very transparently just there to be roadblocks. There's a new character named Nyx, who I imagine is going to play a bigger role in the story somewhere down the road. But when we meet her in Season 3, it's very clear that she's only there to pad things out, so Callum and Rayla don't reach the Dragon Queen for another couple episodes. And speaking of Callum and Rayla, that story between them pays off so much earlier than I thought it would. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. Those Raylan shippers get fed and then some, but if anything, to me it feels like that paid off too soon, especially considering that they've known each other for less than 3 weeks at this point. Storytelling Champion, thank you so much for the super chat. I'll get to everything. I'll try to point out everything as soon as I'm done with this. But thank you very much. Everything is getting ready to climax at the end of the season. But the Callum-Rayla love story seems like it's in a big rush. For no reason I could see, except that the writers needed to get that relationship to a certain point, so they had to step on the gas all of a sudden, and the characters aren't really in the driver's seat, so they're just going where the story takes them. It's a sweet relationship, I just felt like it had happened a little too quickly, because everything else is kind of organically building to the end of the season. Meanwhile, you've got one of the major character threads climaxing like halfway through. It felt very strange. So yeah, my biggest issue with the show continues to be the pacing. But it's less of an issue this time because we finally got the big payoff that seasons 1 and 2 were missing. But that also means that we probably won't get the next big payoff until season 5, so let's make sure to enjoy this. And in most cases, the payoff does work very well. The big climactic battle is pretty thrilling. Just about every character gets a big moment to shine. It's the biggest set piece they've done so far, and with some of the best animation the show has done. And some of the character arcs that were on a slow burn for the first 2 seasons come to a head in pretty interesting ways. Some of my favorite developments are what happened to Soren and Claudia, because with these 2 characters in particular, the writers seem to be going against the grain of what is expected in a business that is getting more and more extreme leftist all the time. But here you have a brother and a sister where it's the male character who's trying to make better decisions and do the right thing, and it's the girl who's the one going down the dark path. And I just found that very refreshing. And it very much stood out because, well, I'll put it this way. while it's never been a secret what side of the political spectrum the writers are on, it was subtle enough in the first two seasons that it wasn't egregious. But in season three, they're definitely starting to lean more in a particular direction, and you can feel the tropes starting to creep in and make their presence felt. Like in seasons one and two, for example, the LGBT representation, it was there, but it wasn't shoved down your throat or anything. Now, all of a sudden, in season three, there's more gay relationships than straight ones. And also, there's this new elf character that appears to be gender fluid or something. I don't know what the right term is exactly, but I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman, and I'm pretty sure that was the point. Now, I don't have a problem with any of these things, but there is a line where this stops feeling organic to the story, and it starts to feel like they're pandering to a very specific demographic. And I don't think they've crossed that line yet, but they're definitely heading toward it, so that's something to look out for. And this is also reinforced because of another trope on display here, emotional validation. SJWs love their emotional validation. They always got to be told that they're doing great, that they're awesome, they're amazing, and any criticism whatsoever is just like the worst insult imaginable. That's why these people have such thin skin, because they're always telling each other how great they are all the time. This is a running theme in season 3, actually, because there are multiple scenes where one character will say to another, "You are the best person I have ever met, because you are good and pure and brave and awesome and wonderful," and so on and so on. It does get to be a little bit much at times. Now, I tolerated this with Callum and Rayla because they've got the love story, so they're going to be viewing each other through rose-colored glasses. I understand that. But even with them, it could have been a little bit more subtle, because they each get this big speech where they're saying how awesome and how great the other person is, and it's a little on the nose, writers. I mean, I got it. They're nuts about each other. I got it, but you take it a little overboard there. I think that's part of the reason why I like the villains so much this season, because they didn't do this stuff. And this was a really good season for the villains, actually. Soren gets some great development. He's probably going to become a lot of people's favorite character after this. And I really appreciated their boldness in the direction they're taking Claudia, because that's not something you often see in current year. And like I said, it went directly against the grain of where the political leanings of this show are going. So, yeah, I really like what they did with Claudia. But the standout by far is Erebos. I love what they're doing with Erebos, how he's so slick and charismatic that he keeps worming his way into Viren's confidence, making Viren more and more dependent on him, and Viren doesn't even realize it's happening. And that says a lot, because what's made Viren such a good villain is how smart and crafty he is. How he's always able to find ways to manipulate people and situations and make them do what he wants without them knowing what's going on. And now here's Erebos doing the same thing to him. So I love that whole dynamic, and it's the centerpiece of probably the best and darkest episode of the season. There's just one part that I didn't really buy with Viren. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but you saw it in the trailer that Viren gets released from his cell, and as certain events fall into place for him, he finds himself in a big position of power. And the whole reason why he was thrown in the dungeon in the first place is just immediately swept under the rug. And I had trouble with this part because the whole thing just felt way too easy to me. I mean, yes, the idea is that Viren is very politically savvy and knows how to play people like a fiddle. And there's even a monologue at one point where one character explains how Viren is really, really great at making people believe that he's a good guy when he's actually not. But Viren murdered several castle guards last season. He took Grand prisoner. He forged the royal seal to fool the other kings and queens. They've got him for a lot of bad things. He was locked up for a good reason, and very, very quickly, all that stuff is just forgotten about, and almost everyone starts trusting him again just like that. And I had a hard time buying into this. Now, thankfully, He doesn't fool anyone, fool everyone. By the way, there are other characters that see through him, but not as many as you might think. Thankfully, Viren is getting played by Erebos just as badly as Viren's playing everyone else, so there is a counterbalance there. And Erebos looks to be taking over as the new big bad of the show very soon, and that can only be a good thing because some of the best moments of this season were Erebos moments. Another good thing is the world building. Now that they've made it to Zadia finally, we can now see all the stuff that's only been talked about previously. And this was stuff that was missing from the previous seasons. It's like, well, they're telling us a lot of stuff, but we need to see it. Well, we can finally see it now. And you can tell the writers have been really chomping at the bit to start exploring all the different elf cultures. We get a lot of neat stuff with the Moon Shadow Elves and the Sunfire Elves, and it still just feels like the tip of the iceberg. And the dragons, too. I mean, they even do flashbacks that recontextualize stuff with the dragons that we'd already seen previously and make you think about, like, certain events very differently now. So what we're learning is that there's a very deep and interesting mythology to this show that they just couldn't explore until now because they had to get to Zadia first, and they had to start introducing Erebos and all that stuff. It took them 2 full seasons to get to this point. But now the genie's out of the bottle, and the writers can start doing all this stuff they've been wanting to do. So it's been a good show up until now, but going forward it's going to be way more interesting because those handcuffs are finally off. So I really enjoyed Season 3, pacing issues aside. I think it would have played so much better if they'd released these 3 seasons in one block instead of 3, because that's obviously how they were intended to be viewed. But now that we've got them, binge watching is going to be a lot of fun. Because now we get the full context for everything, we get the full story, and we're not just dealing with a lot of frustrating build-up for no payoff and just wondering when that's going to come. Okay, we got it. It's one full story. Just watch it in one block. That's how it's meant to be viewed. This was easily the most interesting season, the most fun season, because they could get to the real meat of the story. They couldn't get to the real meat of the story until they entered Zadia, and until Erebos showed up. Those were the 2 catalysts for things to kick into that second gear. Now that we're in it, there are so many new possibilities to explore, and there's going to be a lot of really exciting stuff going forward. I would just caution the writers to rein themselves in a bit. Now, they don't need to inject their politics into the show. That's one thing I'm worried about. If they can keep the transparent pandering to a minimum and try to prevent those tropes from taking on a mind of their own, I think they'll be in good shape. So that is my quick, belated review of the Dragon Prince Season 3. There are some things to tilt your head at in there, but overall, I did have a lot of fun with it, so I would recommend it. Go check it out if you haven't already. And once again, I'm very sorry that this review is coming so late. Real-life stuff just gets in the way sometimes. And I have a little bit of time before I have to get ready for the new episode of Batwoman, God help me. So let's just see what's going on in the chat room. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask them. Let's see. Nice job. You poor tortured soul, I wonder how long that show will air. Assume you're talking about Batwoman. Yeah. Well, I don't know. The ratings keep going down. I think there was one week where the demographics went up, but otherwise it's just they've just been going down and down. And viewership is really dropping off. I think Supergirl is still doing worse right now. But yeah, I mean, we had to expect it was going to get a full season because they're banking on that big annual crossover event that they're already promoting. They're banking on that to really bolster the ratings. And so at least for that week, it's going to get a big bump. But afterward, I don't see anything stopping this downward spiral of Batwoman. These people always double down, so I honestly could see it getting a second season. Just to see, we're gonna give it every possible chance to find an audience or whatever. But money talks ultimately, and if it continues on this path, it's not going to get much further along. Okay. All right. Okay, storytelling champion. Thank you so much for the super chat. I love your Batwoman reviews. Congrats on 25,000. Thank you very much. I never expected to hit 25,000 this year. I think a month or two. Well, I think it was like 2 months ago. I set the goal of 20,000 subscribers in 2019 just as a pipe dream. I never thought in a million years I'd get to it. Then the Batwoman reviews took off, which I really did not see coming, and I got so many new subscribers from that. I think I got something like 8,000 new subs from the Batwoman reviews alone. It was ridiculous. But yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I hit 20,000. I moved the goalpost to 25. I hit that. I'm not planning on moving the goalpost again this year. I'm just gonna see how far I get, and then we'll reassess in 2020. I already know the goal for 2020. I'm not gonna say it yet, but yeah, work needs to be done to hit that. I think it's a reasonable goal, but I want to try to make some progress before then. Never watched The Dragon Prince. Is it on Netflix or something? Yes, it is on Netflix. Defiant Ghoul. And it's good. It's good. Yoda was over 900. Andrew Blanchard. Yoda was over 900 years old, and that was the last of his people. Yeah, I haven't seen The Mandalorian yet because I don't have Disney Plus, so I'm behind the 8 ball on Baby Yoda. Is that supposed to be actually Yoda or just another one of the same species? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look this up, or I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet and pay for Disney Plus, I guess. Let's see. The showrunner is supposed to control pacing of the episodes in the writer's room. Joss Whedon did it pretty well with Buffy. Does it need improvement here? That's a tough question because I think the pacing would be fine if you were watching it in binge watch format. Because seasons 1, 2, and 3 are really just season 1, split into 3 parts. So if you watch it all the way through in one block, I think the pacing is going to be all right. It should be fine. But Netflix has this weird format where they like to release things in release seasons in smaller chunks. So I think it's normally in like half season chunks, around like 9 or 10 episodes, something like that. But here, like chapter 1 of the story was like 27 episodes. So they're releasing it in like instead of half season chunks, they're releasing it in thirds, which is it's very confusing. I don't think they had this whole thing hammered out when they started the show, or at least during the writing process, because it really does seem to be intended as watched all the way through season 1, 2, 3. But they have it split up into books and everything. So book 1, Moon. Book 2, Sky. Book 3, Sun. Whatever. It's very confusing. And I think the pacing is and continues to be very awkward. It is the most awkward thing about the show. It doesn't kill the show. I think it does hurt the enjoyment if you're watching it one season at a time, though. So yeah, the pacing could be improved, but this is just the way they've chosen to format it. I don't know. I don't really know why. First season's a bit of a rough start, though. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think mostly because of the animation. I think they were trying something with the animation and it didn't really work. So in season 2, they had to correct for it. From season 2 onward, the animation gets progressively better. It is kind of rough in season 1, though. I won't deny that. Rey and Kylo are cousins. Well, that was my theory after The Force Awakens. I think they've kind of killed that one now, though. Doesn't the guy who played Sokka on The Last Airbender play the main character? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. That is the voice of Callum. Same guy who played Sokka. Let's see. I read somewhere that the whole Callum Rayla thing was not planned. They decided to make them a couple instead of good friends later down the line. Yeah, I read that too. The plan initially, I believe, the plan initially was to pair up Callum and Claudia, but then they realized that oh wait, they're not they're going to be away from each other for the whole story, and they're not going to be interacting, so that's going to be difficult. Meanwhile, you've got Callum and Rayla who are kind of on the same page and working toward the same goals, and Claudia's off doing her own thing and being pulled in a separate direction. So Callum and Claudia doesn't really work. So they figured Callum and Rayla, that would be, I guess, an easier thing for the shippers to latch onto. Let's see. SJWs are the worst examples of the snowflake generation. They can't take losing anything. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I haven't even seen the Dragon Prince, but I just want to listen to your reviews of stuff. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, this live stream was a bit of a rough go. I had planned to do it earlier, and then I couldn't, and then I had to figure out the new live streaming software very quickly. Hopefully, the next time I do one of these things, it'll be a much smoother process. Hopefully this one hasn't been too bad though. Let's see. There's a new Batwoman episode tonight. Yes, there is. Unfortunately. So that's what I'll be doing for the next couple days. Starts in about 48 minutes, and I still got to go run across the lot and get my laundry, and fold that, and then run back in the rain, so it's all going to be wet again, and then hopefully try to make some dinner, and watch Batwoman again. Ugh. All right. Man, this chat room is always weird. Like, they wait until like a ton of new comments build up, and then they post them all at once. Did Dragon Prince season 4 get confirmed? Not as of yet. They haven't made an announcement about that, but I know the creators are pretty far along in the production now, because I saw an interview from them a while back where they mentioned a speech they made by a character giving in season 5. So at least they're at the very least they have they're past the writing stage in season 5, which probably means they're pretty far along in the production for season 4. I actually heard from someone who used to work on the show that season 3 had been ready to go for months before it dropped. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but I would imagine season 4 is there's a lot finished with it. So I don't. If I had to guess, I don't think season 4 will take. I don't think there will be quite as long of a wait for season 4 as there was for 3. I don't know why it took them so long to put 3 out. I really don't. I read a post on Reddit where someone was definitely triggered by your Batwoman reviews. Oh, wow. There's a Reddit thread about that. Could you link me to that by any chance? I'd love to read that. Do you have a P.O. box? Have just finished painting a Killing Joke Joker t-shirt and would like to mail it to you as a thank you for the awesome Batwoman reviews. Wow. No, I don't have I do not have a P.O. box. I've never had occasion to get one. Wow, that's amazing. I would. Thank you so much. I never expected anything like that. I guess I should look into getting a P.O. box now. I do not currently have one though. Let's see. Aaron E. has the writer, when talking about Viren, said that they have a lot planned for him for season 4 and 5, confirming that he'll survive for a while. Okay, all right. I guess that's good. I mean, Viren is a good villain. But the thing is, it looks like he's about to be usurped in the big bad spot by Erebos. So if anything, going forward, we can probably expect him to be Erebos' lackey or henchman or something. So I guess it could be nice to see Viren getting an ego check. because I can't imagine that he's going to stay clueless about Erebos' true intentions forever. But it would be nice to see him getting brought down a couple pegs because I just want to punch that guy in the face a lot of the time. So that'll be fun. Um, I do think at some point Viren's got to die though. I think he's earned that. No redemption for Viren. He needs to go. Not sure when that'll happen, but I would like to see it eventually. Let's see. From what you can see, will the Dragon Prince continue to season 4 and onward, or do you think it may be canceled? Which I hope is not the case. It seems to be pretty popular. I know there was some kind of controversy with former employees of Wonderstorm Studios. Apparently, they don't treat their female employees very well, or that was the rumor. I don't know too much about that. So there is a little bit of controversy there, and I guess Aaron Ehas is not terribly popular with fans on Tumblr right now, especially. But the show itself remains a hit, as far as I know. So I can't imagine we won't get more seasons of it. Your Batwoman reviews are the best in my opinion. Thank you very much. What do you think specifically of the world of the Dragon Prince since they started expanding on things? What about the magic system and the different elven cultures? Well, that's tough to answer because they only just started delving into the elven stuff. I think the elves are very interesting. We only really had a good look at Moon Shadow and Sunfire, so the others are still kind of a mystery. But I'm really interested by what we've seen so far. The magic system, I have kind of. I'm not sure where I stand on the magic system because so far it just seems like it's just drawing the rune in the air and saying the words. So magic itself seems very easy to learn. Not sure where I come down on that. I don't know. I guess I would prefer it to be either more difficult or more elaborate, rather, or less elaborate. Because I don't know. I guess I'm used to magic systems that are just very simple or very difficult in that you have to like memorize a whole different language or something to be able to like say the incantations and stuff. It's kind of a weird middle ground they found here. Just say the magic word and draw the rune in the air and you can do it. Wow, it's easy, but I mean, wow, you gotta memorize all these runes. I'm not gonna remember that. How would they do that unless you get a photographic memory or something? I don't know. I would like to learn more about the magic system. Right now, I don't really have an opinion on it. I'm just I'm waiting for more information. Is it wrong that I want to watch you suffer through more Batwoman reviews? Not as long as you're letting the ads play. If you're letting the ads play, it's all good. Does anyone think there are other races in the Dragon Prince, not just humans, elves, and dragons? Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it. We haven't seen any up until now. That's not to say there aren't any. I suppose it's possible. We know there are at least other magical creatures out there, like the Magma Titan. So I would imagine there are trolls or something out there, maybe ogres, maybe something like that. Do you have a Patreon? No, I do not. Not yet. That's probably coming. I told myself that I wasn't going to get a Patreon page until I hit a certain milestone, and that imaginary number in my head was 25,000 subscribers, which I've now hit. And I never expected to hit that number so soon. So I'm hesitant to get one. Maybe probably in the new year that'll become a thing. I have been thinking about what kind of Patreon rewards I would offer people, whether it should be by upload or by month. I've just kind of been just rolling around that stuff in my head. Haven't really come to a final decision on any of that stuff yet, but I have been thinking about it. Pretty surprised season 3 is liked this much. I found it to be horribly paced, fragmented, and with a lot of stuff happening because the plot demands it to happen. Well, yeah, I'm not saying that stuff wasn't an issue. It was. Um, like I said, the characters are often at the mercy of the plot. And stuff happens because the plot says it needs to, not because the characters were in place to make it happen. There were a lot of instances of that, like the whole Nyx thing, because we can't they can't get to the Dragon Queen this soon. We got to delay them somehow. Well, how do we do that? Oh, we'll introduce this new character and she can delay them. And then in the final battle, we get these new people showing up. Well, how the hell did they get there so fast? I don't know. The plot says so. There are moments of that. I think it is the weakest part of the story and the show is the pacing. For me, the other aspects of the show are good enough to offset the pacing, so it doesn't bother me that much. But it is still something that I constantly come back to, saying, yeah, if they could fix something, fix the pacing. Let's see, after seeing your Batwoman review, I went back and looked at your movie reviews, and I felt like you did a really solid job. Just stick to the core of good quality reviews. Thank you so much. It did take me a couple of tries to figure out how to adjust the green screen. You know, I rewatched the first review I did with the green screen the other day. I think it was the Godzilla King of the Monsters review, and I think, oh, the green screen looks terrible. I could barely look at it. It was like, oh no, why didn't I just get rid of that? I hadn't learned how to adjust it yet. Hopefully it's better. Hopefully I've learned how to do that since then. Let's see. I like the season a lot, though one nitpick is when Callum uses a spell via the power of love. That was pretty lame. I mean, I got it. It is. I guess it is kind of tropey, but you know the trope works. It's a metaphor. Like him admitting this is kind of like unlocking something that was holding him back from doing the spell. I mean, I got what they were going for. It is a little cheesy, but it's. You know, these things pop up in stories because they work, and people go for them. Maybe not everyone, but it's. Yeah, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it in this kind of situation. It's ooh. All right, I gotta think about wrapping this stuff up because I gotta go get my clothes. Okay. Where is the Batwoman review? Batwoman last week was a rerun, and Batwoman is new tonight. So the next Batwoman review, I think that's episode 8. That will probably go up on Wednesday. They usually go up on Wednesday, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, depending how long they are. But there will be a new Batwoman review this week. Cameo Shadowness, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you think a fan fiction would be better than Batwoman? You know, I'm not big on fan fiction. I'm not big on fan fiction, but I have read fan fiction in the past that was so much better than Batwoman, it's not even funny. Honestly, Batwoman reads like bad fan fiction. I've read good fan fiction, not Batwoman fan fiction, but you know, other fandoms. I've read good stuff that blows away anything Batwoman has done. Will you be reviewing Dark Crystal Age of Resistance? I actually did. It's on the channel. That should be in the TV reviews playlist. If not, just go to the videos page and scroll down. I already did a review. It is fantastic. Age of Resistance is a wonderful show. And if we don't get more of it, I will be very upset. If Viren dies, Claudia is going to have a total nervous breakdown. Maybe she'll become the new big bad if that happens. I honestly think that's the direction they're taking Claudia in. She definitely became more unhinged by the end of the season. She took a step toward the dark side, and apparently she used a lot of dark magic to bring Viren back to life. And that's there's going to be consequences for stuff like that. But she just her desperation is growing in many aspects, and I think she's headed for some kind of a breakdown. I don't know if I don't know what form that will take, but I'm really interested to see what they do with Claudia. Let's see. Controversy is from Aaron Ehas, who used to work for Riot Games. The people claiming this also said they don't want to take down Ehas or to boycott the Dragon Prince. They just want change. I'm reluctant to weigh in on the whole Aaron Ehas situation because there seems to be a lot of contradictory information. Like some people are saying, oh, they don't like Wonderstorm doesn't treat their female employees well, or oh, there was one complaint, oh, they didn't bring in a deaf consultant to advise on the best way to write the Amaya character, but then I see like nothing but praise about the way that the show treats its female characters and the way it's written Amaya. So if that stuff isn't an issue in the show, why are you making it an issue now? It's just it's very strange to me. And there's probably information out there that I haven't heard or seen. So maybe I don't have the full story here, but I mean, if the show is still good, I'm not sure where the complaints are coming from. Maybe it's all like backstage stuff or behind the scenes stuff or something. If it starts to affect the show, then it'll become a problem. But if it's not being reflected in the show, I'm going to keep watching. Unless we hear of some like really abhorrent behavior from the producers or something. Based on what we can tell of Erebos, he seems to want something more powerful than the Dragon Prince, since he was willing to give it up to Viren. The key of Erebos has something to do with that. I don't think he was willing to give the Dragon Prince up to Viren. I think the Dragon Prince was necessary for Erebos to re-enter this world. I think that was the thing. I think part of it was getting the energy from the Sunfire Elves. That's what made the caterpillar grow to a much larger size. I think when Viren started sucking the Dragon Prince's energy, I think that energy, that's where that energy was going. I think some of it was going into Erebos, and that's how he was able to spin that cocoon. And I think that was his plan all along. So he wasn't giving up Zim to Viren. He was using Viren to get to Zim. I think that was the plan. Why is Callum so good at magic? Could it have something to do with his real father? Yeah, potentially. The writers did say there was a story about his dad. Or it could be just that this is just something he has a natural aptitude for. Or it could be just that magic seems to be very easy to learn. Like I said, it's just drawing the rune in the air and saying the words. I don't see why anyone can't learn that, Let's see. Have you read the Dragon Prince books? No, I have not. I wasn't aware any of them had been released yet. Next year seems to be thin when it comes to movies. What films are you looking forward to? For me, it's Black Widow, Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn, Eternals. Wow. I don't know if there's a lot I'm looking forward to. The Marvel slate looks kind of less interesting than it used to be. I would like to see Black Widow, but we kind of know how her story ends. And apparently it's not going to be an origin story. I don't know why they wouldn't want to tell the origin story. That's a pretty juicy story. But it will be nice to see Natasha one last time. Beyond that, God, I don't know. I heard that the Birds of Prey reshoots drastically improved the film, so that's good. Maybe it won't be the mess that it looks like in the trailers. Who knows? To be continued on that. Eternals. Yeah. Was anyone really asking for an Eternals movie? I mean, I'll still see it, uh, because Marvel hasn't really let me down yet. But I'm not. I really have no idea what to expect out of that one. And I guess Wonder Woman 84. Although I heard that one's not looking so hot. I've heard rumors that Wonder Woman 84 could be a hot mess. We'll see. We shall see. Let's. Where the hell was I? Um, the only plus for Batwoman is the lesbian love scenes. Yeah, yeah, but there's no chemistry in them though. They're not hot because Ruby Rose can't seem to generate chemistry with anyone. They're they're just very lifeless. They're not hot at all, honestly. Not in my opinion. Actually, she sped them up. It would take a week to go through the desert. She only took them through the desert, so it would look like a couple days. It only took a couple days. Yeah, it took a couple days to get through the desert in the timeline, but as we're watching it, that's a couple episodes right there. They could have taken the long way in universe, but that could have been shown to us as like less than one episode. The timeline is screwy, but the point is, Nyx occupied Callum and Rayla for a couple episodes when it seemed like that was only done to delay them by a couple episodes so they wouldn't get to the Dragon Queen until later. That's the point of it. Let's see. If you want to watch a good movie, time to go see Ford v Ferrari. I wanted to see Ford v Ferrari. I haven't gotten around to it yet. I could have seen it, but I chose to watch and review Charlie's Angels instead because the trailer reactions got a lot of views, so I was kind of committed at that point. And I'm actually glad I saw it because I believe that review is the highest viewed movie review I've done so far. So yeah, that was so that one paid for itself, which is very nice. I would like to see Ford v Ferrari though. I just in the interest of seeing a good movie, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Do you think there are any dragons or elves that use dark magic? Well, the popular theory is that humans learned dark magic from Erebos. He's the one who taught them dark magic in the first place. There have been hints of that because Viren, has that dark magic staff that I believe the guy in the flashback that season 3 started with. I believe that's the same staff. And when we first met Erebos, he looked through the mirror and he saw that magic staff, and you could see something was clicking in his brain. He recognized Viren as a dark mage, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I can manipulate this guy." So that is the popular theory that Erebos is the one who taught dark magic to the humans. So I believe Erebos is very knowledgeable about dark magic at least. Why can Ezran talk to animals? Good question. That has not been explained. I mean, the writers said it was just a profound sense of empathy. Whether that's magical empathy or not, I don't know. Did Callum use dark magic when he broke the Moonstone to cast Remembrance spell? No, that was moon magic. Apparently, the Moon Opal kind of functions as a miniature Primal Stone. So I guess there's primal energy trapped in the Moon Opal. So when he broke it, it imbued him with moon magic, and that's how he was able to cast that spell. I don't know how he knew to. I don't know how Callum knew to smash the Moon Opal, but apparently he's just a natural at this stuff. Is the show worth watching? Seems interesting, but I haven't heard about it until now because of this stream. Yeah, it's worth watching. I think it's actually more worth watching now that they've been able to complete the first act of the story, which is what seasons 1, 2, and 3 comprise. I think it's going to stand up to binge watching very well, and that's ultimately going to be the way to view the show. So I mean, if you're interested, I say check it out. It's a good show. It's on Netflix right now. I think Erebos can use dark magic, and that's why he was in the mirror. Yeah, I think that's why he was banished there. Let's see. It specifically mentioned that humans cannot learn the Arcanums. Well, yeah, that's what they said, but then Callum did it. Callum is special for some reason. No, 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 no. I misspoke. They said that humans weren't born with Arcanums. They never said that humans couldn't learn them. I think until now it just hadn't been done before, and it was believed that the humans couldn't learn Arcanums because no one had really tried before, and Callum was the first one that tried and pulled it off. So theoretically, it is possible for any human to learn Arcanums if they put in the work, and Callum was like the first one who actually did that. Really hoping they don't make Callum have some sort of blood relation to elves at all. Some people are speculating it takes away from what he's achieved on his own. Yeah, exactly. I think it's more interesting if he's just a full blood human. Let's see. Gotta go. Gotta get my clothes. Let's see. See, Marvel had so many flops. MCU Spider-Man is definitely one of the worst versions of the character so far. Oh wow. I think Captain Marvel was extremely mediocre. I thought that's what I thought when I saw it. Although since then I've thought about it some more, and it does not hold up at all. Honestly, I think I was too nice to Captain Marvel when I reviewed it. If I did it again now, I'd be considerably harsher. But financially, they haven't had any flops, and I'm a big fan of this version of Spider-Man. Now, I understand that some people don't like the direction they've taken the character in, um, being like Tony Stark Jr., and I get that. They have made some odd decisions that I don't really understand with that one, but ultimately, I am on board with what Marvel are doing, and I'll take that over what Sony were doing with it. I've said this before. I think I'm not a fan of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. I'm just not. The Amazing Spider-Man, I liked the first one, didn't like the second one. They ruined it with that one, and honestly, I just don't trust Sony with Spider-Man. I just don't. And with Marvel handling him, they may make some weird decisions, but ultimately, there's nothing there that make me think that they've screwed the pooch or done something that is not like in keeping with the character. Everything feels like true to Spider-Man to me with what Marvel is doing with it. Even if they have like anointed Peter as Tony Stark Jr., which feels like it's I guess he's not really the hard luck hero anymore. So that part's weird, but ultimately I'm down with what Marvel are doing. And at least I trust Marvel with the Spider-Man character. I don't trust Sony. I don't trust Amy Pascal at all. Venom was terrible. I don't know how it made so much money. Let's see. Is there anything else I can answer real quick? Because I gotta get out of here, guys. Let's see. I just think that the show has an opportunity to show what a real relationship struggles without pandering to the audience, especially considering how early Raylan became a thing. Yeah. Yeah, I think, well, as far as we've seen, elf-human relationships are like a new thing. I don't, as far as we know, that hasn't been done before. So that could be an interesting thing to explore later on, because it could be seen as taboo, or it could open the doorway for like more relationships like that to happen. We don't know, but it would be nice to explore like what that means to their society. Sony does horrible live-action Spidey movies, but Sony Animation Studios is knocking it out of the park. The only good Spider-Man movie is probably Into the Spider-Verse. I've heard that movie is great. I haven't seen it yet. For a bunch of reasons, I don't like the Spider-Verse as a concept. I think it's very fan fiction-y and very transparently just used as a way to generate concepts for action figures. Also, it's about Miles Morales. Look, if you like Miles Morales, good for you. to me, he's just always felt very derivative, and just like the more copies of Spider-Man we have out there, the less they all mean. And I miss the days when there was just one Spider-Man. Maybe Spider-Man 2099, he was good too. And then you have all these new copies, and that's a big thing in comics right now that I just don't like, having multiple copies of the same character. And now we got Spider-Man. Now we've got the Miles Morales Spider-Man, and we got. I think Scarlet Spider is still out there, and I don't know what's going on with Ben Reilly. I think he was back, and now I don't know if he's still back or not. But there's like 50 different versions, and then they do it with the Hulk. Now we got Red Hulk and Red She-Hulk, and what the hell else? And there's like 10 different Wolverines and whatnot. It's just too much. Everything has become watered down, and I'm not a fan. I miss the days when there was just one definitive version of each character. And you know what? Back then, comic book sales were double, triple, quadruple what they are now. I mean, sales are down across the board. And I think this is just a contributing factor to that. And okay, and I think, guys, you know what? I think that'll be it. I have to go run across the lot to get my clothes out of the dryer and then run back. And it's raining right now, so they're all going to be wet again. But Batwoman starts in less than 20 minutes, so I got to hurry up. So that'll be it. Thank you very much for tuning in to this belated, restarted review of the Dragon Prince Season 3. Thank you so much for the super chats. I very much appreciate it when I see that in the chat room. I was not expecting that, but thank you. Thank you so much for everything. And that'll be helpful because I don't think I'm even going to monetize this video. I'm not taking any chances with this COPPA stuff. I still have to figure that out. Like all the guidelines are incredibly vague and confusing. So I gotta, sometime this week, I'm gonna have to sit down and really figure that out because I tried to do all that previously and it didn't work for me. So I still gotta make sure YouTube knows that my channel is not for kids. And I don't know if I have to do that with the channel as a whole or one video at a time or both. It's a mess. It's a real shit show. So that's what I'm that's what I'm gonna have to figure out this week. Because I have a habit of waiting until the last minute to do these things, and I can't do that now. But yeah, that'll be it. I'm gonna go, gotta get my clothes, and hopefully, nuke some dinner before Batwoman comes on, and I have to heave it all up. Thank you once again. Next time we do one of these streams, I promise it will not be as confusing as this was, because I tried to start one like 3 separate times. And it didn't work. And I had no idea what was going on. Had to get the new software, learn how to use it, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, we got this to work, so hopefully next time it'll be a quick process. Thank you one more time, and I will see you guys in the Batwoman review that will be going up this week. See you then. Thank you for tuning in. Over, out.